Good morning, this is Randy. I thought I would make this video today for those of you who are wondering whether or not your partner is a malignant narcissist or a sex addict or both. If you've listened to any of my other videos, when I got divorced, what I determined was that my narcissist was a sex addict. And I was correct about that, except I didn't know that he was also a malignant narcissist as well. Sex addicts do have some treatment that they can benefit from, and apparently some of them are successful in treatment. So if your spouse is a sex addict and not a narcissist or malignant narcissist, there is a cure. That's one difference. However, it's an extremely difficult thing to change, the sex addiction, as with all addictions. And I thought it might be helpful to read what wives and husbands would kind of have to go through with their spouse if they were married to a sex addict, because the spouse is a big part of the sex addict's treatment, since the sex addiction impacts the relationship, as you can understand. So I'm going to read a letter, and this is a letter from a woman who is the spouse of a sex addict and whose sex addicted husband is in therapy. This is a contract that the wife had to make up for the husband. And it's a way of setting boundaries. When you listen to some of the things that are in this contract, you'll notice that some of the sex addiction behaviors apply to the narcissist, and some of the requirements that the wife is having and putting into writing could also apply to a narcissist in terms of kind of like a behavior modification plan or contract. Okay, so I'm going to read the letter. This is a letter or a contract written from a wife to her sex addicted husband. Quote, "Boundaries effective immediately, to be reviewed for changes." So she submitted it to her husband to review it for changes, any changes, before he signs. She begins, "I am feeling uncomfortable and like things are slipping as we speak. It feels like you are doing the bare minimum for us to stay together. For example, you're not using your workbook and doing recovery work at all in the last week until last night. You're forgetting to let me know when females text you. You're forgetting you weren't supposed to unforward your phone at the office. You're waiting so long in the day to make your calls to your sponsor that you only get one shot, and if they don't answer, it's too late to try again. You're complaining about recovery work and the time that it takes. You're mocking my sadness and no further contact with me the rest of the day. Okay, so he's mocking her and he's giving her the silent treatment because she's sad. Does that sound familiar? I am voicing what I need from you in order to feel safe and like I can begin to believe that you are truly invested. Number 1, I need to know immediately if any females text or email you for any reason. If you do not let me know and I find out later, like after 30 minutes, I will, and she has to specify the time, right? I will ask you to leave the house for 3 nights. The second offense will result in 2 weeks at your parents' house, during which time we meet twice a week to review your recovery work. You will call from there immediately after work to prove that you're there. Your office phone should remain forwarded at all times. If it is unforwarded, I will ask you to leave the house for 3 nights. The second offense will result in 2 weeks at your parents' house, during which time we will meet twice a week to review your recovery work. You will call from there immediately after work to prove you're there. Number 3, I need to know immediately within 24 hours if you relapse with pornography or masturbation. If you tell me, I will require you to call a Monday or Tuesday night group member until you get one on the phone in my presence. I don't get that. If you tell me about the porn and masturbation, she's going to require him to call a group member, and until he gets one on the phone in her presence. Okay, so you can see, the lack of trust. She has to babysit him. She has to be his monitor 24/7. And this is what you have to do if you're the spouse of a sex addict. This is like the recommended treatment plan. This woman didn't just come up with this. This is like, this is what they all are recommended to do. If I discover after 24 hours, or you tell me and it's been longer than 24 hours, you'll be asked to move to your parents' house for 1 month, during which time we'll meet weekly to discuss your recovery progress. And you will pay for a 3-day intensive, which is a minimum of $3,800 with Doug Weiss, and not with any other counselor. So that is the expert, and basically the guy will need to fly across the country and go to this intensive therapy again with the expert if he does this. Number 4, I must have reason to believe that you are working daily in both sex addiction and your workbooks, attending meetings, applying your own set of consequences for behavior, and making your daily calls to your sponsor. Either exercise book or step book or both, doesn't matter. Same questions may be asked, but the point of view you are answering from is different. If you are not doing these things, proving it to me, you will be asked to move to your parents' house for 1 month, at which time we will meet weekly to discuss your recovery programs or progress and verifying your presence there each night. Number 5, if any of the 4 women you admitted to sleeping with contact you for any reason and you do not answer or respond and tell me within 30 minutes, you're good, nothing happens. If any of them contact you and I find out about it on my own after 30 minutes, you will be asked to leave for 90 days. You'll be required to pass a polygraph at the end of that time period before you can return home. Number 6, if you have any sexual contact, kiss, touch, touch, oral sex, intercourse with anyone, verbally or physically, in person or by text, phone or computer, you will be asked to move out for 6 months and pay for a 3-day intensive, which is a minimum needed for the entire trip of $3,800 with Doug Weiss and no other counselor. If this happens after a previous 3-day intensive as referred to in number 3, I will file for legal separation. Number 7, if you become mean, hateful, or verbally abusive, I will expect a full-page letter explaining why you behaved that way, what it conveys to me, and what you are willing to do differently next time, and a full apology. I will expect this within 24 hours. If you do not complete it, I will ask you to leave the house for 3 nights, during which time you will complete the letter before you return. Second offense will result in 2 weeks at your parents' house, during which time we meet twice a week to review your recovery work. You will call from there immediately after work to prove you're there. Any separation greater than 3 days means you do not return in the evenings or mornings. You can pick up the kids every other day and have them from 6 to 7:30, and they can spend the night with you every other weekend. Friday at 6 till Monday morning when you drop them off at school. If this appears to be not sufficient or practical, it is subject to change. If you do not agree, you are free to leave now. And then there's signature lines. So this is what some women are willing to go through for their husbands if they determine that their husband is a sex addict and their husband begins this super intensive treatment. And the problem with this, I see, is that some of these guys, not all, but some of them, are NPD. And you can see the energy that is put forth by these women to have to resort to making a defined, specific, no loophole contract to set the boundary for their husband so that he can't say, I didn't know that, oh, I didn't understand. And it just seems to me that so many of these guys are really NPD, and so I feel really badly about the women spinning their wheels and really going this super, super extra mile if they are indeed dealing with a narcissist. So if you are in this position, you really need to do a differential diagnosis if you can, because you will be really wasting your time with all this contract stuff, and you will just be beating your head against the wall and losing so much energy trying to keep up with this child and their behaviors. And you really need to, at some point, ask yourself if this is worth it, if this is something that you want and you can do, and if you're able to realize, to do all this and then possibly find out in the end that you're just really dealing with an NPD, that there is no cure, and they're just screwing you around, watching you scurry and make these contracts for them and give them all this attention, and they're laughing behind your back because they know that they're going to do whatever the hell they want, and they're just playing, they're just pretending with the therapy. Oh, it hurts. It hurts to think about. Okay. I hope this helps someone today. Thanks for listening.